Um, Hello everyone. That's me waving from behind the camera. Today is going to be another historical game video. This game is my favorite game ever played because it has my favorite player playing against another very interesting player at the time, where the other player whipped out a secret move that he'd been saving for a long time. So this game is Capablanca versus Frank Marshall. Jose Raul Casablanca versus Frank Marshall. Capablanca was a Cuban player around the early 1900s. And he ended up becoming chess champion, beating Emanuel Lasker. But at this point in time, when this game takes place in 1918, he was just on the up and up. He had just beat he beat the Cuban world champion. The Cuban champion, just Cuban, at like the age of 13, and then he went on the up and up beating other strong players, and then he's playing this person, Frank Marshall. So, let me get into the opening, because the opening's pretty standard, and then I'll get into the historical spiel. So, white is Capablanca, black is Frank Marshall. It goes e4, e5, standard king's pawn opening, knight f3, knight c6, standard stuff, and then Capablanca plays bishop b5, the Roy Lopez. Marshall plays a6, the Morphy defense. The bishop backs up to keep the bishop pair. Black develops the other knight into the game, and white castles. Black can take this knight, but it gets a bit tricky after this move. And then there's stuff like this, and it gets very interesting. But it is playable, but it's tricky. So instead, black plays bishop e7, getting ready to castle. White plays rook e1, defending this pawn, and also getting ready to do this very interesting knight maneuver, where you bounce it from, b1 to d2 to f1, and then all the way to g3. But that's many moves in advance later. After rook e1, black plays b5, kicking the bishop. The bishop falls back. Black castles. And then white plays, this is not here. That's not there. That hasn't been there yet. I fucked up. But ignore it. This is the position. And white plays c3, now threatening to strike with d4. So in this position, in the early 1900s, the main move and what they thought to be the best move was d6. Just holding the center, playing very solid. And this is why this game is my favorite game. It's because when my favorite opening was dropped for the first time, and there's a very interesting story behind it. So as I've said, up in this point in history, d6 was the main move. Nothing else was thought of. So Frank Marshall, the black player here, had looked at d5. And it looks like it gives away a pawn. But Frank Marshall had this move prepared for, the legend says 8 years, right? And he waited to play it against someone worthy, like some anime shit, right? Like, this is his special attack, right? This is his Kaioken, right? So he waits and he plays Capablanca, and Capablanca is up and coming, so he figures, okay, this is a worthy opponent. I'll give you my greatest attack, right? So Marshall plays d5, right? And now the rest of these moves are a very forced sequence, right? White plays e4 to stop d5, so e takes d4, and then e takes d5. The knight then takes the pawn back, and now white wins a pawn because the knight and the rook are attacking the e5 pawn, and it's only defended by the one knight on c6. So then you get knight takes, the knight takes back, and then the rook takes. So this is a very interesting position. The main move here is to play c6 and defend the knight. That's then followed by d4, bishop here, and rook back. And then the queen comes here, and black gets a nice attack with this mating idea here. But at the time, none of this was known. So in this position, the move that Frank Marshall prepared was knight to f6. After knight to f6, Capablanca plays like a very disciplined player, and he retreats the overextended rook back to e1. At which point, Marshall plays b to d6, bishop d6. And now, this is interesting, and this is why reviewing my notes for this game, and reviewing this game for this video took a lot, because there's so much into this attack. The bishop's aiming at the h-pawn, so Capablanca plays h6. Now, why does he play h6? That took me a long time to figure out. So let's say he doesn't play h6, and he plays d4. I think Marshall's idea here might have been bishop takes h2 check. White doesn't really want to take back, or it'd be dangerous to take back, because, say, king takes h2, the next move is then knight g4 check, checking the king and also opening the diagonal for the queen to come in. Say the king goes to g1, right, which looks like the best move. You then get queen to h4. Yeah. Queen to h4, threatening f2 check. Right? Yeah, threatening f2 check, taking there, right? Because if you take here, the king goes here, check, there, and it's a whole bunch of bad stuff, right? So after queen h4, bishop e3 stops this. So then say, black plays queen h2, and sorry, it's just so much to this attack that's going on. And this isn't even the game, this is what could have happened. So after queen h2 check, white would have to play f1, and then say queen h1 check. White then has to play king to e2, and then black can take here. And if you take with the pawn, if white takes with the pawn, can you see a way for black to win a queen? I just pointed at how. Bishop there check would win the queen because of the skewer. So, say black takes with the king takes e3, you get rook e8 check, and if the king goes to d7, d7, yeah, you want to go to d7 because it's a dark square, right? Or d2, king d2. You then get queen h6 check, covering the diagonal, and whether the king goes to any of these light squares, say there, this bishop then comes with a devastating consequences, right? Because you have to block with something. Say you block with the rook first, bishop takes check, and then now you're forced to block with the queen, and this is just losing. And Frank Marshall had prepared all of this in advance. You can see why he waited 8 years to launch this. That's just one line that's possible. I'm now going to jump back to when Capablanca played h6, stopping bishop takes. All right, so this is the position, and Capablanca played h6, stopping bishop takes. So after h6, Marshall plays the stunning knight g4. Well, what's with knight g4? Can white take on g4? Well, let's look at it, right? Say h takes g4, and there's so many hypotheticals, right? Like black is just has everything here. So h takes g4, follow up is queen h4, threatening to check here. So queen f3 is played. It's the best move. Don't ask me why. There's then bishop h2 check. You don't want to go here because you walk into a whole bunch of discovered attacks. So you go to king f1. And then you have bishop takes g4, attacking the queen. Say the queen goes to e4, putting a pin on this bishop, right? If this bishop moves, white takes the queen. White then plays bishop to f4. It looks like it sacks the bishop, but there is checkmate on h1 if white captures. So to prevent the mate threat, white plays g3, opening up the queen's vision to the h1 square. It also attacks this bishop. White can then just play queen h2. Now, why can't white take this? If white takes this, what do you get? I believe you get their check. Is that the move? That doesn't look like the move. No. Say their check. Ah, that's what it is. If they take this, you have that check, forces the king to go there, and then there's rook there, winning the queen. So that's one of the lines on why you don't want to take there on G4. Let me get all this material back on the board. Ugh, that's there. That's there. This isn't there yet. The queen is there. H6. And Marshall had just played this. Is that the correct position? I believe so. H6, G4. Knight G4. Yeah. So Capablanca plays queen to F3, just getting a defender over in this area. Marshall then plays queen H4, getting the queen into the attack. And you still can't take this knight because of a whole bunch of stuff. Primarily that same idea of pushing the king here and then getting that bishop skewer. Capablanca finds the best move in this position after queen h4, which is d4. Stopping some squares of the bishop and allowing the white bishop to get into the game. Marshall uses a sacrifice, playing knight takes f2. Technically, it's not a sacrifice. Wait, is something wrong here? These pieces should not have a clear line of sight of each other. Ah, that rook is not there. That's why. That's why. So knight takes f2. And knight takes works because of the threat of bishop. Say the queen takes. Black has bishop g3. And you pick up this rook after the queen moves. So white cannot take. Whoop. All right, is this the position? This is the position. White plays rook to e2, attacking the knight with this piece, with this rook. And then black plays bishop to g4, skewering, forcing white to get rid of another defender, which is this pawn. So white plays h takes g4, and then black plays bishop h2 check, now that the queen has vision of the h2 square. King f1 is forced, and then black plays bishop to g3, adding a defender here, also opening up this mate threat. So white trades off some more material, giving up exchange because he's up a piece. Rook takes f2. Marshall plays the queen h1 check first. King e2 is forced. And then bishop takes f2, getting the material back. Bishop takes f2. And now here, you don't want to take this back, because then you run into all sorts of problems with, say, check there. And what are the problems? Say queen blocks, check there. And I guess the rooks are coming into the attack and white's not properly developed. So go back to the position. That's not the position. Hold on. King f1, bishop g3, rook takes f2, bishop takes f2, king is on e2. 1 second, I'm running through it. King's on e2, bishop takes f2. Okay. And then Capablanca finds the best move, bishop d2. And bishop d2 is important because it sets up a shield for the king later. So, forgive me, it's super fucking hot in this car. I'm waiting for a chess club to open, so I figured I'd just record a video. Black plays bishop to h4. This queen is here. I'm just retreating the bishop because it was hanging. White plays queen to h3, offering a trade of queens because he's up a piece. Marshall plays rook e8, bringing the rook that's not doing anything into the attack, checking the king. Capablanca plays king d3, moving the king over, trying to get to this square where it'll be quite safe. Marshall plays queen f1 check, and now the king goes to king c2, and now we see the point of bishop to d2. Marshall continues with queen to Capablanca continues with queen to f3, offering another trade of queens. Marshall cannot do this because he would just lose his attack. So he goes queen to g1. Capablanca plays bishop to d5, moving the bishop forward, maybe creating escape squares over here. And then Marshall plays c5, trying to break open this area and get an attack going. Capablanca's not afraid. He plays c takes d5. And then black plays bishop takes c5. Uh-oh. I've fucked up the move order somewhere. Alright, well, this bishop is taking on c5. And then white plays b4, kicking the bishop. And then black plays bishop to d6, retreating the bishop. Capablanca is not afraid. He strikes with a4, and then Marshall returns with a5, threatening to open more of this. Capablanca plays a takes b5. Marshall plays a takes b4. And as you can see, like, Capablanca is up a full piece. So he's fine trading. A takes b4. Capablanca plays rook to a6, threatening the bishop. The bishop takes on... Marshall takes this pawn, attacking the bishop, so if takes, he takes, and he's also picked up another pawn. Capablanca plays knight takes c3, developing his knight. Black plays bishop to d4. Bishop to b4, attacking the knight. But Capablanca is not afraid of this. He starts pushing his pawn that's very close to queening. Marshall trades another piece, which is an interesting move, seeing that he's down so much material. Bishop takes back, and then Marshall plays h6. I don't know why he plays h6. I guess stopping this, but like he's already behind very much. Capablanca plays b7. Marshall plays rook to e3. which is an interesting move. Or no, sorry. Rook to e3. Threatening the queen and the bishop because it's protected. And Capablanca just plays bishop takes f7 check. And in this position, Frank Marshall resigned. Why did he resign? Well, let's look at if you take the bishop. If you take the bishop, the pawn queens with check. And that's bad. So, say we look at takes with the king. Oh wait, no, you can't take with the king because the queen protects it. So say king moves over. You then get rook here. And rook here causes a promotion of a queen because, well, say this rook can't move off the back rank to take because it's pinned now. So how does black stop this, right? Say you, I don't know, if you play a nothing move like, I don't know, queen there, promotes there, and then takes, and the rook takes back. And there's no way to stop being down a rook, and then white would just have too much material. So this is the game. This, I feel like, was a lackluster video. I wish I had done better, but I'm only going to do it in one take to show, you know, the slow improvement of my videos. It's also hot as fuck. But yeah, this was my favorite game just because, like, the whole anime sort of fucking hype aspect of, like, oh, he saved this move for 8 years, and then when he uses it, Capablanca's just that good that he just defends it. So yeah, awesome game. Very high level stuff. It was hard to study and see all the hypothetical lines, but I got through it. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some good games at this chess club today in Indianapolis. So yeah, peace.